Hi, everybody. This is Chanel Bertrand, and welcome back to Breadcrumbs. More than narcissistic, understanding grandiosity. The nuances of grandiosity are explored beyond the typical understanding of narcissism. How this complex trait manifests and impacts individuals and relationship could be better understood through this examination. So let's think about it. Imagine constantly feeling overshadowed or dismissed by someone who seems to live in their own reality, a reality where they're always superior. It's more than just ego, it's a profound manifestation of grandiosity that goes far beyond what we typically understand as narcissism. We'll explore how these traits impact everything from personal connection to professional dynamics, offering a fresh perspective on a pervasive human characteristic. Think you know narcissism? What if I told you that there's much more broader, more insidious quality that offers get mistaken for it, yet operates on an entirely different level? This video will change your assumption about inflated self importance and reveal the subtle yet powerful ways grandiosity shapes individuals and their interactions, leaving you with a richer understanding of human psychology. Now, let's get into what this is. Beyond the buzzword, what does grandiosity really mean? These days, if you think about narcissistic, that word is thrown around as often that it almost have it has lost its meaning. From social media rants to everyday conversation, anyone who shows confidence or self focus can get labeled as one. But this oversimplifies a much deeper issue. Now, I like to say that this issue is grand in size, and we're talking about grandiosity. It is not the same thing as narcissism. It exists on a spectrum from mild exaggeration of self importance to extreme life disrupting distortion. As its core, grandiosity is an inflated self sense of self importance, a belief that one is unique or special in ways other cannot understand, and a sense of entitlement to admiration, attention, and special treatment. Here's the critical point. Grandiosity is not always malice or malicious. Sometimes it's a coping mechanism, a way of covering up deep insecurity or pain. For some people, exaggerating their greatness is the only way they've learned to feel safe or worthy. Now, is there a hidden cause or a hidden face to grandiosity? From everyday to extreme, grandiosity grandiosity, I'm probably saying it wrong, but that's okay too, does not always look dramatic. Um, it can wear many faces, and often it's subtle, and others it's glaring, just dead in your face. Now, let's talk about the everyday version. This might be the coworker who constantly one up your stories, the friend who exaggerates their achievement, the classmate who insists they knew it first. These behaviors can be annoying, but they don't always mean a person is dangerous. They may just crave attention. When it crosses the line, grandiosity becomes a real problem when it pairs relationship, work, or self perception. If someone cannot accept feedback, manipulates others for admiration, or become disconnected from reality, their grandiosity is tipping into harmful territory. The adaptive side of this, surprisingly, not all grandiosity is negative. A healthy dose of self belief can help entrepreneurs take risks, athletes push their limits, or leaders inspire confidence. This is called adaptive grandiosity. The problem is when the inflated self image no longer protects, but instead damages the person or those around them. So, if we had to get to the bottom of this or the root of this, the roots of the roots, where does grandiosity comes from? Does it appear overnight? It grows out of a mix of life experiences, culture, and even biology. Um, so let's talk about it as it relates to early experiences. Children raised with shallow praises, you're the best no matter what, may learn to tie love to inflated performance instead of authentic effort. On the other hand, children who face emotional neglect often create fantasies of being special to protect themselves from feeling invisible. Both pathways, honestly, can lead to the same lesson. I am only worthy if I am more than ordinary. Now, I believe that you do have to encourage yourself. And so it is important not to just shy away from being great at what you do. And we're not just talking about at work, we're talking about overall. What type of person are you overall? And have you ever considered um, where this confidence come from? And does your confidence harm others? If it doesn't, then I think you're in a safe space to say that you are not puffing up your reality. But let's talk about societal pressures. Now, we have such things as social media, like the megaphone. It's like a megaphone for grandiosity. With constant highlighted reels, comparison is everywhere. Many people feel they must exaggerate who they are just to keep up. Our culture rewards visibility and performance, and often at the cost of authenticity. And so I was on, because I don't have many followers here, and I don't have many followers on my other platforms, but I'm also in a stage of finding my footing. What do I want to talk about that people want to hear so that I can bring and bridge the gap of knowledge? And so sometimes this probably is a really boring conversation, but I just recognize like some people who are narcissistic and have those traits. Now, just a small disclaimer, I believe that everybody has a form of narcissism in them. So I'm not saying that, you know, um, people are just over the top and manipulative. I'm saying that we all exude some form, whether it's small or large, we exude some type of trait that can be identified with narcissism. Um, but if we look back, genetic predisposition, research has suggested that temperament and biology plays a role. Some people are naturally more sensitive, reward driven, or reactive. These traits, when combined with a difficult environment, can increase the likelihood of grandiose defensing uh, forming. Your environment is causing some foundational issues in your life. Um, let's take it back to the plant analogy, right? The soil that you plant your seed in, does it have enough soil in the pot for that seed to take root, grow down, and then shoot up? Look at your life and see what your environment is. I notice that when I'm reserved and quiet, a lot of people want to get to know who I am. Oh, who are you and what do you do? But when I'm loud and authentically in a space, because I'm both those people, I'm both quiet and reserved, and I'm both loud and obnoxious at times. But I think I have to be comfortable with who's around. And not to say that I'm not being my true self when I'm reserved, it's just that society has also told me that be on your best behavior, say good things about people, um, reach, don't reach too far in the sky, be comfortable where you are. And I shared with someone, I said, well, one, I am a first generation African Nigerian American woman. So we have to understand that a culture that I am tied to like it big. They do it big. And so I I share in that. I sometimes downplay that because I don't want to give that false narrative of grandiosity off to others. But we want to make sure that we are giving people the space and opportunity to just really understand who they are. So it brings me into my next topic of living with grandiosity and impact on self and others. It just doesn't affect how someone sees themselves. It changes the way they move through the world. The internal struggle, often you're hiding a deep seated insecurity and fear of failure. A person may protect or better word is project confidence while privately battling shame or emptiness. Do you know how many Christians walk around like that? And battling that alone is just enough to take you out. But we wanna I call it masking, and I don't know if that's the proper term for it. But you want to let people express themselves in a way where it breaks the generational curse that's attached to the reason that the behavior is the way it is. Okay. Um, I am, I believe in talk therapy. I believe in tapping. I believe in breath work, mindfulness, because I think that the soul needs a reprieve at all times. And so, if we're always grinding and hustling, we don't give our soul an opportunity to grieve the loss, grieve the disappointment, grieve the miscommunication, grieve the standoffish, um, i.e., the reservedness of a person. But in a relationship, it takes a toll. And the reason that it takes a toll because you're constantly needing that admiration, and that can wear down a friendship, a partnership, and family, uh, bond. People may feel used, unseen, or drained by someone they always have to be the center of attention. Over time, empathy may get lost in the chase for validation. And so I like to tell people that I'm highly sensitive. I'm an empath, and so I pick up on cues. I know if you dislike me. I know if you've talked about me. I know I watch how you move and talk. And see, I am wholeheartedly someone who wait and see. I'm a wait and see person because your personality, you have to get really comfortable for your personality to come out. And when it comes out, me, I tend to pick and choose who I want around me. And so I have a really small circle because I feel like this. There are going to be people in my life that is going to pour all into me. There are going to be people that is going to say, Queen, I see you. I'm here for you. What are we doing? We're going to make it happen. And then there's those people who don't want to see me do any good. And what they want is for me to step aside. And sometimes you can't step aside because that's your call, that's your purpose. But what it does do, it costs you personally. So maintaining grandiose image is exhausting. It requires constant performance, leaving little room for vulnerability, growth, and true intimacy with others. I'm gonna just adjust myself just a little bit. And so we're coming to the last point, and then we're gonna conclude this week's episode. But I'm glad that you've stayed this long. If you have, go ahead and like, share, and comment in the video section. I am here for a little time, not a long time, just to give you my two cents. The topics will be that we will discuss will probably be all over the place, but let's know this. We are here to inform and educate. So, how do we really navigate grandiosity? Practical insight and paths forwards. So this can be tough to deal with, both from those living with it and those who are in relationships with other people who have to take this on. But I'm here to tell you there's always a path forward for those impacted. You are close to someone with grandiose traits. Setting boundary is key. Protect your emotional energy. Avoid feeding into the exaggeration and decide what level of involvement feels healthy for you. And if it doesn't feel healthy for you, you can disconnect from that source because it's not um, it's not purposeful. For those who recognize it in themselves, self compassion is the first step. Instead of shaming yourself or guilting yourself, try to explore what feels like fears or wounds that might be hidden underneath need to appear bigger than life. Try to practice some realistic self assessments. Naming both strengths and weaknesses can help build authentic confidence. And when it's time to seek some help, um, sometimes grandiosity is tied to deep mental health condition like narcissistic personality disorder or bipolar disorder. In those cases, therapy can provide a safe space to explore the roots, develop healthier coping skills, and learn to connect with others in genuine ways. Connection is key. So we just don't want to just be like, okay, what are we doing? We gonna get down on ourselves. So you'll find that I make these a little weird voices, but I want you to know that it's not time to get down on yourself. It's really time to just seek understanding. Let's do a SWOT analysis. A SWOT analysis. What is the strength? What is the weakness? What is the opportunity? And what is the breakthrough? Now I know I said SWAT, but it really is the breakthrough. So the T for me in this is the breakthrough. What how can you go through this? What is the challenge that we're faced with? And what are the strengths? What are the weaknesses? Where is the opportunities? And I know opportunities are similar to breakthroughs, but they can be different because you can be frustrated, and the thing that you're frustrated with is your breakthrough. Overcoming that is the breakthrough, but you have to know what that looks like for you. And so, as we come to this conclusion, grandiosity, uh, seeing beyond the surface, is more than just a narcissistic problem. It is a layered human response to insecurity, cultural pressures, and sometimes even biology. So it's not just one sided, it's multi layered. It can be adaptive at times, destructive at others, but at its heart, it reveals the same longing we all share, the need to be seen, valued, and accepted. When we move past the buzzwords and the reality to understand what grandiosity is, we begin to see the fragile humanity underneath. And that understanding opens the door not only for a healthy relationship, but also for compassion, healing, and real change. I'd like to thank you all for staying with me this long. I am your host, Chanel Bertrand, and you have been breadcrumbed. Until next time.